Welcome, welcome. What a week it's been for the Tesla Model 3, ups and downs and lefts and rights. But some other interesting news came out this week in the world of Tesla and also in the world of electric cars. We're going to break it all down right now. But before that, if this is your first time here, my name is Alex. And if you're looking to stay up to date in everything that's going on in the exciting world of electric cars, you came to the right place. Go ahead and click on that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you can join our community. All right, let's talk about Tesla Model 3. It's all about it this week. Even the related news that came out are somehow linking to the Model 3. So that's exciting for me. So the news number one that came in the beginning of the week is per Electrics inside news, inside source that nobody really disputed, so I believe it, that 180 Model 3s were made in October. So that's a number that's higher than they made in the previous few months. Obviously much lower than they've predicted, but at least now we have a number. As you know, Tesla doesn't really disclose that number to really anybody until the end of each quarter. So we knew they made about 260 in the first 3 months, 180 in the month of October. As I read my comments and some articles out there, it looks like people are still divided into camps. In one camp, I guess my camp is that, maybe Elon overdid it. Maybe he shouldn't have hyped this so much and made everybody so excited and count days until their Model 3 is here. And then now he has to deal with a fallout where, everyone's a little bit disappointed. The stock is a little bit down, not a little bit, but it's down. But in another side, I'm starting to see their point too, is that, listen, you have to hype this thing, right? You have to go all the way out there, and he really needed to inflate the stock maybe a little bit because, Tesla was applying for some credit. Tesla was trying to sell some of their, interest, and stock needed to be up, and that's what he did successfully. And now we're just going to have to deal with a few months worth of delays. And on the I think somebody commented that it's not a sprint, it's marathon, which is true. And this is I think people who buy Tesla stock for real are hoping for that in the future it will be $700-800 stock. But nevertheless, the number is out, and these cars are being delivered. I think I showed you the video that I shot. Here it is. This is the video that I shot driving to my hockey game a couple of days ago. As you can see, Model 3 on top of the delivery truck. Sorry, I shot it while driving on my phone in the dark, so this is not the best quality. But it's there, and we see them driving around in the Bay Area. So it's happening. It's definitely happening, and it's exciting. But so far, pretty slow. It looks like they're working on the automation process, kind of being completed, and removing those bottlenecks they were talking about. So we'll see what happens. All right, now let's go to a pretty big news as well this week. And as you can see, I've been overusing this graphics all over again because we're talking about the $7,500 federal tax credit here in the United States possibly being taken away from us. And at first, when a House bill came out, everyone was kind of like, oh, goodbye, $7,500, or should I buy a car right now before it ends? And people were talking about it, and then our U.S. Senate, to the rescue, which no one ever really says, but our Senate came through, and it looks like the bill that they've unveiled actually ended up having that credit still in there. And again, let me remind you that it's our Congress that passed this law in the first place when Obama was president, but as the Senate was Republican, so I really was surprised to see them even trying to get it out of there. But it looks like it might be staying. So obviously it's a benefit to a lot of people, especially people who are buying a lower priced cars like the Model 3. And this is why we go back to the Model 3, because it will affect its sales. It will affect Nissan Leaf sales, Chevy Bolts, and so forth. But it will not affect probably sales, at least not as much, of the cars like Tesla Model S and the Tesla Model X, of course, because they're priced so high that it's really not going to probably make that much of a difference to those who really want those. So the Senate version of the bill actually wasn't that bad. So it ain't over, but definitely the story is turning into a more positive direction. Here in the live chat, Drew says it will be incredible when we see the Model 3 everywhere. And I think we will, especially here in the Silicon Valley. Like, it seems like Teslas are everywhere, but to see Model 3s more and more and more definitely will be really exciting. I have seen a few myself, as you can see, one of them being delivered. T. Coley 100 says, I believe Tesla cars have been so hyped because electric cars have never been such a competitor to ICE vehicles. The days of toaster oven driving down the road are over thanks to Tesla. This is definitely that direction that we're going, especially with the Model 3. But at the same time, I think it's still going to be a long road. There are plenty of people who are interested in keeping ICE vehicles on the road, and the oil industry and old school automaking industry is just not going to go quietly, and it's good that we're forcing them. The electric car movement, forcing them into the right direction doesn't mean they're going to be going there and running and skipping there happily. Let's see, Tesla P85D, it's good to see you in the chat from Lithuania, beautiful country. Vid is from Czech Republic, a country of a lot of great hockey goalies. Welcome to Evie Patty from Spain. Let me move on to the next topic, which is non-Tesla related news, because Waymo announced that they've been testing their driverless vans, I believe in Arizona, and they're ready. They are ready to actually start a service of driverless vehicles being taxis, and I believe they're starting next month. And this only shows that there are other companies that are beating Tesla in the self-driving game. Now, from what I understand, there will be a very strict area in which those cars are going to be driving around. I'm assuming that's where they've tested them, and a Waymo driver or employee will be in the car, but not in the driver's seat. People will literally see these vans without the driver in the next few weeks. I would be curious to know if there are any problems, if there are any, and I would love to hear the stories and customer perspective on this. But hey, guys, we're entering the age where this is happening. The cars without drivers are going to be driving around. I think it's crazy, but this is great news for all of us. Vid says, hi everybody, do you had the image and the sound from the beginning of the stream? Oh, that I would be curious to know if you guys had the image and the sound. It looks okay to me. Does it sound and look okay to you guys? Hopefully it does. I'm actually going to be upgrading my internet line here in the next few weeks, so the quality of the video and sound will improve. Mr. Carico 3 says, how about Model Y? Any news? Well, the next week is the semi-truck unveiling event. And, some people are speculating that this is maybe the event where they're going to surprise us, maybe with a concept of a Model Y. I'm not really sure, though. I would have loved that. I'm one of because now they're saying the Model Y will be based on the Model 3, so I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit easier to make. But if they have something going on, right now, it will be interesting to see, because semi-truck excitement is going to go only so far. I don't think any of us here are in the market for semi-truck, or maybe even know someone who is in the market for semi-truck. So this is more like for the brand ego, I guess, and our customer excitement. But the semi-trucks are not going to do anything for us. And don't forget, I believe the production is not going to start until a couple of years from now anyway. This is just their unveiling the car. They're not even the truck. They're not going to be making it just yet. Monkey Ride says, Tesla are not rushing into self-driving. Why not let Waymo make all the mistakes? Wait until they have their first crash, then we will see what happens. Monkey Ride, it's not a bad idea, I guess, but at the same time, don't forget that Tesla and Elon Musk, they want to innovate. They want to lead the way for all of the electric cars and self-driving technology. So I'm sure this hurts a little bit. I'm sure they're working on something that will be better, or at least just as good. As far as kind of getting rid of all the bugs and haters and negative news, I think yes, I understand that's probably a good point, but there will always be haters, especially in Tesla's world, because they are still going to be the leader in the next few years at least. So I'm not really sure the spotlight is going to be taken away from them that much. But hey, this is a good idea. Let's see what happens with those guys, and let's see if there are any lawsuits. Obviously, that's something that Tesla probably can live without, with a lot of recent activities on that front. Tesla P85D in the chat says to raise the money for Model 3 develop, I would like to pay 5,000 US dollars in deposit instead of 1,000 if you can get free charging. Well, I don't think the deposit size would really be the difference because they're going to be getting that money anyway. So I'm not really sure how would that help. But at the same time, I think I don't think they can do the free charging no matter what, because superchargers will just get overwhelmed. They're already overwhelmed in some of the areas, and I was at the Mountain View here in California doing some interviews a couple of weeks ago, and the line was about 20 cars long, which is insane. Even though they have the valet and everything, but it's insane. So I don't think they want free supercharging for Model 3. People will just have to pay. Don't forget, even when you pay at superchargers, it's really not that much. Evie Patty says they don't have a choice. They choose the hard way to get autopilot to FSD, and it's not even clear if there's enough redundancy for FSD apart from the computer. If you mean about the industry, yeah, I don't think the industry has much of a choice. They have to go that way. I think the consumer electronics show in Vegas will show that this is where everyone is going. I believe there is an LA Auto Show this week as well. I will be in LA this week, but it will be for the semi-truck unveiling event, and I will stream live for you guys a couple of times, and then I will, within a day, probably by Friday night, I will edit all of the footage that I got at the event. So it's going to be exciting, but you will see that self-driving cars will be showcased, I think, and technologies will be showcased heavily in Las Vegas in January for the Consumer Electronics Convention. Let's see. Vid says, oh, I'm sorry, I lost the chat. John says, any news from the Gigafactory in Europe? It seems they will be built one in China before Europe. I don't know about the China. I think they will build one in Europe before, but I think it's all going to be about the finishing those deals, finishing those contracts and everything. And the one in China, that's a long process. I think the European will be there first. Though you never know. I mean, obviously China has been very aggressive in promoting electric cars there. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they will fast track Tesla in China to build their factory. But yeah, I would really like the factory in Europe to kind of move maybe a little bit faster. Ticoli 100 says innovation is paving the way for the acceptance of change. Change is good, even if it's be slow. Consumers are demanding it. I think it's a joint venture between consumers and countries and states like California and countries like Norway that are incentivizing people to buy the electric cars. A lot of laws have been passed and incentives have been added in all these different countries. So that's helping. And obviously the fact that Tesla came out with a car, that's amazing. Let's just forget for a second it's an electric car. The car itself is amazing, and you're right, consumers are pushing it on the other end because and waking up other companies saying, hey, we want this kind of car, not what you're making right now. And so I absolutely agree with you. Evie Patty says, no, I've been talking about Tesla. Okay, they're the only ones that try to do it without lidar, which is harder. Yeah, I believe Tesla's doing it without it because it's cheaper to make. And I think the other equipment is much more expensive. So maybe it's about the cost of the car, or maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe they know how to do it without it. If it's enough for them to figure it out, then they're claiming that it is. So I'm okay with it. Listen, as long as these cars are safe, as long as they prove themselves over the next few years in self-driving technologies, and don't forget, Tesla is doing something else. They're creating the micro maps, right, where they're mapping every single movement of all of these cars, especially with the AP turned on. So when I don't know if they're using it yet. I don't think they are, but in the future they will be the micro maps will be the maps that will be guiding the self-electric cars because thousands of other cars already went through it. So those are the maps that don't just show you the roads. They also have the lanes mapped out, more likely routes, how people take turns, which ramps they take and which way they go, all the way like within inches. So that's the data that Tesla is collecting. I think is going to be humongous yet another way how they're going to do better than others. But we'll see. Waymo's doing it. I will always be on the side of whoever is going to be doing this better and pushing the technology further. I've seen quite a few of them here. One of these, this is by the way the picture that I took myself, also in downtown Mountain View. I've seen them in Palo Alto, so they're here as well. Let's see. Android Andra Durr, sorry, I'm so bad with usernames. Really, LVL5 autonomy is only possible with the combinations of sensors and excellent mapping data. Oh, that's exactly what I said. It's about sensors, it's about the software and technology, but also the data that they collect every time a car using the autopilot is driving down the road, and especially when the driver corrects that car, that sends a signal to Tesla saying, oh, okay, well, we did something wrong here, let's see what was the right answer. Vid is asking, what about self-driving bus involved in a crash less than 2 hours after Las Vegas launch? I haven't heard of that actually. If you don't mind, maybe after the this live stream is over, maybe post a comment on this video so I can look into it. If it happened, I would be interested in covering it if it's really a story. Okay, guys, let me. I forget. We're still going over some of the news. So another Tesla related news is that Model S and Model X 100D vehicles got faster, and they're getting faster as Tesla is rolling out the over-the-air update. This is basically an update to make these cars 0.5 seconds, half a second faster. So, and this is, I've been raving about this on and on and on all week long, and really ever Tesla came out, this is a huge difference between Tesla cars and our others, that they can make these cars better overnight. Either they can increase the range or the speed. This is, in this case, acceleration. These cars are going to be faster in the morning after the update. So, and by the way, this is another way how Tesla is letting the entire industry know what they need to do, and the over-the-air updates, the software-based cars, is the way to go. Of course, it will come with some punishment of hacking and all of that stuff, but this is just the way to go, and it's happening with Tesla, and it's so exciting that these cars just got faster overnight. Let's see. Okay, so another news is that Tesla bought this company Perbix, and I know people, I know it's maybe a little bit boring, but it really is not, guys. This is an automation company, and Tesla bought it first to make sure that it's off the market, and they're not going to be making this technology for other car makers. But this is exactly where Tesla is going, and yet another signal to the automotive world, and automotive industry, that these cars need to be put together by robots, right? If you want to complain, misaligned panels and all that stuff, this is the way to go. So they are heavily invested. They already bought Grumman Engineering, I believe earlier this year in Germany, robots making robots, and this is the future. They're going to be automating the entire fleet of their cars and how they're made, and this is another step in the right direction. So let me cover just one more thing, and this obviously about the bad I was going to say bad Yelp review, but that's what this guy really reminded me of a Yelp reviewer. So this weekend, Tesla is letting the investors test drive the Model 3. One of the investors gave it a pretty bad review. His 2 points were that, but quite a few panels were misaligned, which again, I'm questioning it. I did get some comments in the comment section for the video from last night that, hey, listen, why are they giving this car that's supposed to be for the review and it should be really well made? Why is Tesla giving this car to the guy with misaligned panels? But my point is that, okay, listen, they're not perfect yet, but if you're an analyst and you're going to be giving people an assessment of the future, and these cars are going to be made fully automated, an automated line, and you got a copy that is not yet, why review that part? And again, I'm going back to Model X and Model S that had very similar problems, and those things were ironed out very quickly, and those two models are very much a success. And the second one, he was saying that Model 3 will take market share from the Model S, and Model S has a much bigger profit margin, so that will be hurting Tesla. My thing was that I'm comparing Model 3 to the BMW 3 Series, and I'm wondering, is 3 Series taken away from the sales of the BMW 7 Series? And I would say no, it's a different market. Some comments I don't know, Evie Patty, was it you who I was going back and forth, and you made a really good comment, and I kind of conceded to it that some people bought a Model S because they just wanted to buy an electric car with a decent range, and that was the only thing that's on the market. And a lot of people admitted that they spent a little bit more than they normally would. And yes, those people might end up buying a Model 3. But if you look at everything right now, there are plenty of used Model S sedans out there for even $40,000, which is below what a Model 3, average Model 3 is probably going to cost. And Model S sales are better than ever. So I don't think the pricing is going to be an issue. I think it's a different a slice of the population. It's a different audience for the Model 3. And I think Model S sales will be just fine. But fine point there about the fact that some people who bought Model S actually bought it for the first time, such an expensive car. So yes, it's well, I mean, what a week, guys! What a week! But yeah, I mean, I call the BS on this guy. I mean, first of all, he's just a show dog. Really, he just wants to shock people and make predictions, or rattle the sort of the viewers that he has, and he needs to get on all these shows. Just like his Model X review back in the day, this one wasn't really that good, especially for somebody who's really supposed to be talking about overall performance of Model 3 on the overall health of the company, and the petty little things that he picked on are really not that relevant, I believe. So you can read it, by the way. It's a note to his investors, and you guys make your own judgment, but I believe it's a BS. And some people are saying that maybe he's doing it for his own benefit because he might be shorting the stock or whatever. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but certainly not exactly that far-fetched, if you ask me. I just don't trust those guys. I'm sorry, because but people were asking, well, how can we trust you, dude? You're a Tesla fanboy. Well, I'm not. I'm not a Tesla fanboy. I'm a huge fan of electric car movement. I think Tesla is leading the way. But if you watch my channel for more than 3 minutes, you know that I've been pretty tough on Tesla when I had to. So I'm definitely not a category of Tesla fanboys, and I will call them out in a second when I see if something is worth mentioning. So yeah, people like me, I think, would have a little bit more of a sober review, and I don't have any money invested into this. So that's that. Christian from Germany, hi, how are you? Douglas from Minneapolis says go Perbix. Are they based in Minneapolis? I think they are. That's probably why you're saying that. T Coley 100 says, I love that so many companies are working to improve self-driving. That's going to benefit us all. Yes, and you know who is going to benefit? People who are not going to be dying in car crashes because of driver errors. Think about how many lives drunk drivers take away or hurt, right? Think about all this. Think about all of these lives and all of these people who are going to be saved from the car crashes that could have been avoided because of driver errors. So I think, yes, all of us will benefit, and I can't wait for this day to come. The only thing, I will miss driving. I will miss doing this because I enjoy it very much. And I know that's going away, probably even in my lifetime, if I get to live to, another 20 or 30 years, hopefully. Let's see. Christian says, I came from Germany and the German media hates Tesla. Why? I wonder why. It's not like Germany is not a home to a few major car manufacturers that Tesla is forcing into the 21st century. So yeah, I'm not really surprised, but it's such a better car that sooner or later, even in Germany, people will start buying Teslas. It's just how it is. Like in Detroit, in Michigan, it's a tough call. I believe right now it's still illegal to sell cars in Michigan, but you know what? It's coming. As a matter of fact, any kind of hate, any kind of pushback, a lot of times creates more excitement and it makes people actually turn their heads and say, hey, I wonder why people hate Tesla. Let me check it out. Oh, really? That's what it looks like? Oh, this is what it drives like? Oh, it beats BMW of the light like this? I think people will be turning more and more. All right, Evie Patty says, yes, it was me. Yes, Evie Patty, thank you for your comments. Thank you for participating in the chat, in the comments. I really appreciate it. People like you who are making this discussion better. I don't claim to be 100% expert in everything. I'm just excited about everything, and I always read all the articles and try to stay up to date. But it's people like you who are actually, even with some pushbacks and everything, adding so much value and so much information to my videos and to my comment section. So thank you for that. Thank you for everybody, by the way, for participating and talking in the chat and the comments. So, all right. Sunindra says, I disagree. Tesla should be giving perfect cars to analysts. Analysts say what they see. Okay, you do have a point. I'm a little bit surprised that they gave a car that wasn't perfect. They should have built one freaking car or two cars that have been checked and corrected if really things were misaligned. On another hand, so yes, no, you know what? I'm just going to concede that point. You're right. This is Tesla's mistake. It doesn't still excuse piss poor analysis from this guy. And again, this is not relevant. This is not going to be relevant in 2 months. And since he's predicting the stock and overall health of the company, this should have never been a thing. Chat is going way faster than I can keep up, guys. Thank you. So yeah, I'm going to concede that point. They should have given a better quality car, and I hope they learn their lesson. And they, moving forward, it's going to be better built cars, at least the ones they're showcasing. T-Coley100 says this analyst has a right to his opinion, but that opinion was a forward projection based on a current model that will be different than what the mass public will receive. That was irresponsible. Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I'm saying. He has a right to do this, but he shouldn't. Right? If he was just another YouTuber like myself, yeah, sure, say whatever you want. Even though I usually take pride in what I say and responsibility in what I say, but somebody who can move the stocks up and down should definitely be more responsible. But this guy's been like this. I believe in the last few years anyway, probably the rest of his career. So it is what it is, and I think people who have him on their shows like CNBC and Bloomberg should think twice before giving them this stage again. But I don't think they will, because they don't care, because he definitely sells advertisement, right? It's exciting. We're talking about it all week. So why wouldn't they have him back? All right, so let's see. Patty says, by the way, Patty, thank you for all of the conversations that we have in the comment section. It's great to see you participating in the live chat. Thank you so much. Patty says, a great comparison, Alex, on used Model S to show that Model S is still less cost. Yeah, I mean, so, I do have a video comparing the Model 3 to a used Model S, because a lot of people are trying to make that choice. And I think that there is, just like I said, it's just a separate market. Like I will be in the market for a Model S in a year when my lease expires. And I'm sorry, I'm not even considering Model 3 because I want the Model S. My girlfriend might consider Model 3 simply because she drives very little to her job, at least right now and back. If she's watching, she's probably, oh crap, she's watching. Okay, well, she may be not that happy about it, but I know she also wants the Model S as well. So if our budget allows, if we really, money is not going to be that big of a deal. I mean, we just bought a house, but by then, who knows? Yeah, we would rather have two Model S cars for sure. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with the chat. It's moving a little bit fast, which is awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, I see you guys talking to each other here. Patty says, how do ICE vehicles compare on gaps? Well, that's a funny thing, they don't give as much scrutiny to the ICE vehicles, I believe. Remember when Tesla had one or two fires in the beginning, right? And everybody got on their case. Oh my God, Tesla's catching fire. See, we knew it all along. They suck. See, they're on fire. There's a picture right here. How many gas cars catch on fire? Wasn't the guy from Fast and the Furious? I'm sorry, I don't follow that. I don't remember the name of the actor, but he died in a car crash because it blew up. I believe they hit a pole and it blew up. Nobody covers that. Nobody says, oh, look, gas cars blow up because of all the gas in them. No, yeah, of course. I mean, Tesla and electric cars have been under a lot of scrutiny. And I told you, this guy, this analyst, when he was reviewing Model X about, a year ago or 2 years ago, he once again said, well, I went to the service center and they didn't give me a Tesla loaner. See, Tesla sucks. But, I had a BMW before, I had a Mercedes before, and guess what? When I went into those dealerships to have my car serviced, half of the time, well, Mercedes was bad, I have to do, but BMW, very rarely I would get a car at BMW, and at that time I had a 7 Series, and I would never get a 7 Series or 5 Series as a loaner. But I didn't see that guy complaining about that, or at least being fair and saying, yeah, this is actually not that uncommon for dealerships not to have a car that you brought in as a loaner for you. So yeah, the guy's a hack, and this is unfortunate, but yeah, good point. And you're preaching to a choir here. Let's say. Mr. Carico 3. Oh, okay, you guys are talking to each other again. They call him this guy is something between genius and a loony. I hope you guys are not talking about me. Though, but I might actually take that actually. Um, uh, Coke Arpal says, "What is the name of the analyst?" I believe his name is Tony. I just Google. I mean, his name is Tony. It's a kind of a weird last name, but just Google Tesla Model 3 review note to analyst, and you will see that guy will pop up right away. But I'm pretty sure his name is Tony, Toni, and the last name starts with an S. If somebody can Google it really quick, oh yeah, there you go. Tcoli100 puts it right there in the chat. Tony Sokonahi. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. You can look it up, and guys, don't just take my word for it. Go ahead and check them out and see if I'm right or not, because I think that it's pretty clear. By the way, you know what we haven't done yet? Comment of the day. And the comment of the day this time is not, I don't always pick comments that are like pleasant or flattery or whatever. So this one comes from Jane Gage, and she says, yes, Model 3 is much cheaper than 7,000, can make a difference, but it shouldn't be at the expense of taxpayers. And guys, in the live chat, and if you're watching the replay, I would love to know what you guys think. And this is an argument that, hey, why is the rest of the taxpayers are subsidizing your cars? And here's my answer, and there are a few. First of all, for us to move forward, for us to live better lives, government has to subsidize the new technologies. And by the way, let's forget about the fact that the government is still subsidizing old technologies like corn and gas industry. I don't know if you know about this, guys, but they still do. And I'm not sure if oil industry really needs that much help right now, or the corn industry. But you have to subsidize. Government subsidizes a lot of cancer research and a lot of medical advances and a lot of our infrastructure and a lot of new technologies and space explorations. All those things that are going to make your lives better in the future, you just don't know about it, have to be subsidized. So that's one of the reasons, is that it's not that they want us to have better cars, it's they want us to be guinea pigs, that we are more than happy to be, so the rest of the world can switch to better technology. China is doing it so that people can breathe. I'm sure people in Los Angeles would agree with that as well. They can freaking breathe there. Like the lung diseases and asthma cases are growing in those countries and in those cities like Beijing and LA. So you might be subsidizing our cars, the taxpayers might be, but we're subsidizing your breathing. So I think it's a fair trade. And so this is just how the life has to move forward. But secondly, it's not like with the oil industry or corn industry. You're not doing us a favor because we're not being singled out. It's not like they said, oh, hey, that guy Alex, he gets the extra $7,500 off. First, you have to still pay that much in taxes. That's, by the way. But also, anybody who pays at least $7,500 in taxes can get these incentives. Those incentives are just cash incentives from the states. Everybody can get them. So it's not like it's uneven. If you want your taxpayer money back, go ahead and buy an electric car. You're not being left out from this benefit. So that's another thing that I think people don't realize it. But definitely, I'm interested in hearing you guys think. What do you guys think about our government and states subsidizing our cars, and how do you feel about it? So that's a comment of the day. I always appreciate you guys commenting on my videos. Just like I said, I learn a lot from you, and also it creates a lot of interesting debates like this one. I don't, if this person really believes that this is something that is not the right thing to do, well, I'm happy to debate, and I'm happy that it's been brought up so we can discuss it right now. So that's comment of the day, which I always enjoy. Let me get back into the chat and see what I missed. A lot of you guys are talking to each other. That's awesome, I think. All right, we talked about this guy Tony. Somebody called him an idiot. All right, I kind of agree, and I don't mean an idiot in terms of like name calling. I mean being irresponsible and very simple-minded, I think, as far as that review is concerned. Let's see. Patty says, the negative voice always speaks louder than the voice of truth, so I know that Tesla listens to customers to write a situation. Yeah, of course, it's negativity is always and any kind of drama is always going to be more exciting. That's why Kardashians are, more popular than anything on the Discovery Channel, right, or any kind of scientific channel, and that's just the world we're living in. You might argue that's why Trump is president, right? Because a lot of people, he got a lot of attention for being showman and creating a lot of drama. But that's how the world goes around. Um, Andra Dare says, luckily I will buy a new car in 2022, so everything should be settled by then. Yeah, you're right. If that's when you planning on buying a new car, you are definitely going to have a huge advantage, because by then all of this, no, I don't want to say they're going to be settled, but you're going to have a great choice. You're going to know which technologies have survived, which technologies have not. The price is going to be settled down. So that is true. Let's see. Nigel says my Renault EV going in to get Toyota Yaris loaner might be hybrid. Hope you remember where to put the fuel. I have a video on my channel. It's like a 1 minute video. I'm kind of I dabble in comedy, I guess, once in a while. It's what happens when an electric car owner has to drive a gas car for one day. It's on my channel. I think I believe it's called. Only Tesla owners will understand, or something like that. But check it out. I thought it was funny, and I got a lot of views on Facebook as well. Mr. Carico 3 says, no, we're not talking about you, was about the George Hotz. Oh, yeah. That guy, he claims he can bring self-driving car for under $1,000. I have reached out to him. His company is Comma.io. Haven't heard back. People say that I probably won't, because I guess he's got a huge ego, but then they're really taking off. But it's an interesting concept. Listen, something that a third party can create for a car, you can plug it in and your car becomes a self-driving car. Though, of course, you have to have a self-driving features already. So that would be redundant. That means you would have to spend the money, I'm assuming, on the software that comes with a car. And then you have to switch to this maybe better solution, but I don't really trust it yet. But it's definitely been an interesting story, and maybe I should cover a little bit more. But for those of you guys who don't know, this guy kind of invented this add-on that really just goes on your cell phone, and you can plug it into any car that has a self-driving software and a hardware, and that car will drive itself using his technology. And he has a bunch of videos out there. I don't quite understand how he makes cars that don't have the hardware do this. I don't know if he sells them separately. If you guys in the chat know better than me, please go ahead and let me know. Oh, I just lost the track of chat again. You guys are typing so fast. Stephen Hill says it's Tesla versus dinosaur establishment. Absolutely agree, and you're not even that. Literally, you're not that far apart, because I believe the oil was created out of dinosaurs. Poop and stuff, or whatever, however you want to phrase it. So we are really against the dinosaur establishment, and we are, I feel like, finally dragging them out to join this new generation of the electric car movement, whatever you want to call it. Do you guys consider yourself some sort of part of the movement? Like, is this like a green army or e-nation? What would be the good name for? What would be the good name for us, the electric car enthusiasts? If you have ideas, let me know. Let's see. Fabian says the world is not ready for electric cars. There is just not enough public chargers. Well, okay. Yes and no. I think the world is definitely ready for the electric cars. You might be right, the infrastructure is not. Though in some cases, like here in Silicon Valley and in New York and bigger cities, it is. But don't forget, if you own a house, you're ready. If you have a house, you have a 240 outlet here in the United States. If you have a garage, this is where you can charge your car. You can always upgrade and install a charging station. And really, that's all you need. I mean, I've had my car for what, 5 years now, 6 years really. I almost never ended up having to supercharge it. When I go long distance, I take it, by the way, I rent a car for faster travel. And to be honest with you, I don't want to travel in an $80,000 car with all the trucks and bugs and other crap that's, on this interstate highways. So for me, I really just charge at home. So if you own a home, you're going to be fine. So yes and no, but you're right. There's a way to go. Though these charging networks have been growing like every other week. I hear the news that there's a new charging network. Shell just bought the biggest charging charger manufacturer in Europe, and so gas fully. What's the channel name? Fully charged. Challenges did a story about the very first electric car charger at the Shell station after they purchased that company. So that's pretty exciting. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't good, so that report wasn't as happy as it should have been. But still, check them out. Fabian said, okay, that's I already read that. Yes, Mr. Makariko, I gotta figure out how to pronounce your name, man. I wish I just knew your regular name. Mr. Kariko 3 says, yes, we need more public chargers. That's correct. Patty says, manufacturers may be great in China. Manufacturing may be great in China, but they know at what cost of their labor increase has caused increase in health problems. China was smart to choose Tesla. Well, China is choosing anybody who is going to help them to electrify their country as far as their cars are concerned, and trucks and maybe airplanes. So they're investing, and a lot of Chinese investments are in electric car and self-driving technologies, and there are other countries who are already going to be making cars in China, like I think BMW and Volkswagen already, oh no, I'm sorry, Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen already have partnerships with China. The only difference is that a Tesla factory is going to be wholly owned. This is going to be an exception. Tesla is going to fully own their factory, where they don't have to partner up with another Chinese company, as usually there is a case there. And of course, all the risks that American companies have to take by exposing their secrets and patents to Chinese-based companies. Though the Tesla will still have to pay 25% tariff on their cars, just like if they were to import them. So not the best deal, but definitely a great deal for Tesla. Monkey Wright says, I think the tax credits should have an upper limit, say only if the car is under 40, 50,000. That would be encourage car makers to make more affordable cars. Okay, that's true. I actually wouldn't disagree with that. But you know, back in the day when Tesla was the only really real electric car available, I think that shouldn't have been the limit, because then you're encouraging crappy technology like the first generation Nissan Leaf or Ford Spark or other crappy little electric cars that were embarrassment and really just more of a step backwards for electric car movement, as far as I'm concerned. I know some people love their Leafs, but listen, they weren't helping the whole electric car revolution as much as Tesla has. So maybe Monkey Ride, you're right. Maybe in the next year or so, that could be the case once the new Nissan Leaf is out and the Chevy Bolt is out now and Model 3 is going to be out. Maybe that's not a bad idea. And this is coming from the guy who will be buying an $80,000 car again. So yeah, that makes sense. I think so. All right, there's some in German now. All right, I don't speak German, so I don't know. You guys should go ahead and battle that out. Fabian says, I think I'll stick with the gas-powered cars for now. I'm assuming you're in Europe, and I don't blame you. I mean, if it's too expensive or the infrastructure is not there, at least for your own need, and you will have problems charging, I don't blame those people who choose to wait a little bit, as long as this is where you think you're going to be going and this is something you're interested in. The only thing I ask, if your gas car can be a hybrid, obviously that would be awesome. So let me know which car you might be thinking about as far as buying it. That would be interesting to know. Andra Durs says, in Germany there is 4,000 euros in rebates, but only for cars cheaper than 60,000 euros. You know, European countries are more socialist. I don't mean like in a bad way, okay? It's more of a equality, you know, economic equality. So that's not actually a bad idea. And you know, I do have a feeling that maybe they are trying to block Tesla, which is non-European maker, to kind of infiltrate Europe too fast. So there could be two sides of the story here, but I agree. Maybe cars that are super expensive shouldn't be subsidized. Linder Jones says, public charging, how about putting a charger in the garage and charging at home nightly? That, you know, I already have a video about it. This is the right way to go about it. And this is why cars need to have better range. This is why 150 to 100 should be the minimum. And I'm trying to include Nissan Leaf there. But yes, people should be charging at home, and this is the right place to charge. Yes, long trips, and this people should only charge in emergency basis on like superchargers, emergency basis when they're like, you know, like the other day I drove way too much in my regular 60 and I was a bit short, so I supercharged for 5 minutes at the Fremont supercharger here next to the factory. But yeah, you should only supercharge when you go a long distance. And you know, unfortunately, like when I talk to people at superchargers and I ask where do they live, a lot of them live around the corner, and this is their main source of supercharging. I really hope Tesla nips it in the bud, and at least they pay. At least they pay so their fees can go into building more superchargers and destination chargers, because there are people who really do need supercharge and move on with their trip. Let's see. Tony says, first supercharger in Portugal this month. Congratulations. They're building a supercharger here in Sunnyvale, finally. I don't even know if I should finally, because I just said it on supercharge, which I don't. But they're building one here. But yeah, Portugal, first supercharger. I'm surprised, but that's awesome. I hope they're going to be expanding more, because I'm assuming that's not a bad market for an electric car. Let's see. Hi from San Diego, California, says George. Hi, George. Welcome back to the chat. I know you've been here a lot. Thank you for participating and making this fun. Evie Patty says, Alex, he uses the built-in radar and connects to the car's electronic to control it. Well, you can build into the electronics all you want, but if the steering wheel cannot move on its own, and if the car cannot really brake unless there's some sort of API, but especially the wheel, I'm talking about the wheel, I'm not quite sure how that's possible. We're talking about that guy who invented add-on self-driving module. Let's see. Evie Patty says, here in Spain, you really need a Tesla for long distance driving. Ticoli 100 says, this is the change and shakeup for the auto industry needs. I completely agree. I mean, we're beating that horse to death at this point. I mean, I think nobody would argue that Tesla is making the rest of the industry, step in the right direction. Evie Padding says, so you buy a Tesla for city driving, which I don't see why it's a bad idea. New motion, but they will still don't. Okay, you guys are still talking about yourself. Okay, Patty says directly to me. Finally, somebody talking to me. How do gas / electric hybrids compare to any electric, and why would someone want to go with gas electric over? Listen, some people are brand loyal, right? If people are into BMWs or for their handling, or a Mercedes-Benz for their luxury, they're gonna stick with them for a while, and that's if that's their main priority, then that's what they're gonna go for. Different people have different needs, right? Or somebody who lives in an apartment complex and simply does not have a possibility to charge. So that's, those are still pretty good reasons for people not to go with an electric car. I'm not saying they're electric car haters. I'm just saying in their reality, in their priorities right now, the gas cars are the better option for them. And I understand, there's a lot, we have a long way to go. So I think that's the reason why people still want to buy a gas car. Not so much they want to buy a gas car with an electric car. Now that would be a little weird. But they just want to buy a car that has something that they really want. And by the way, I mean, I've said it many times before. I think we, as the universe, as a planet, need to understand that. Think about this. We know how to split atoms. We can almost cure cancer at this point. We can make boobs look bigger and butts look smaller. We can fly to Mars and the moon. All of these amazing technological advances, and yet our cars that we drive every day are being powered by 100-year-old technology of this goo that comes out from the ground, and we just blow it up under the hoods of our car 1,000 times a minute, right? How embarrassing. How embarrassing. I think most people would be embarrassed if you kind of think of it that way. And I think most people would want to move to the greener technology, especially if it's better. But just like I said, it's not for everybody just yet. All right. Nigel says, where I live, charging in public is free. I have virtually charged out and about for 95% of the time. But if it was not free, my home charger would be my main charger. Not likely to be charging outside much if I charge. Hey, listen, if it's free, that's great. I obviously understand. And this is why I think Tesla should change their policy about using superchargers within your home area. But listen, if that made you buy an electric car and move the whole revolution a little bit forward, kudos to you. But I think some regulations should be in place in the next couple of years. Otherwise, we're just going to have a problem with this. It's going to be another negative problem that we're going to have that we created ourselves. Let's see. Christian is asking, is the United States, are there hydrogen cars? Yeah, there are hydrogen cell cars. Right now, Toyota makes Mirai, I think is called here, and it's only sold here in California. There's really not enough charging stations or whatever. Yeah, I guess they're charging stations. They've already admitted, I think, a couple of weeks ago that it was a mistake to go that route. Though they're still going to keep going with this car and not produce anything electric as far as a battery-powered electric. So that's kind of silly. I think I covered that story a couple of weeks ago, which kind of blew my mind. But yeah, there are some, but I don't know anybody who's excited about it. I think it's people who got suckered into that deal. Maybe they got good incentives. Maybe they got it really cheap. It is a Toyota, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, I don't see how those cars are going to be making a comeback if they were ever really, Patty. So thank you for that question. Nigel says, if there were more chargers in each position like Tesla, would it be a game changer? Agreed. EV Patty says, Alex, it only works with cars that already have sort of a simple lane keeping built in. Okay, so we're talking about that add-on that Comma IO makes for the cars. So yeah, from what I understood, I guess it was correct. So if the car already has a self-driving hardware, this is something that can come on top and control the car. And this is exciting. Just like I said, listen, all power to everybody who's trying to change the world and trying to come up with something that's an alternative to what already exists. Though well, we'll see what happens. I don't really want to say what's going to happen, whether they're going to fail or not. From what I understand, they've been a little bit too cocky for their own good. I hope they change their attitude though. But hey, it's a great technology, and it looks like they're selling it for only $1,000. So hey, that's not bad. Kudos to him. Let's see. Nigel says Renault Zoe, if made more, would sell more. 3-month waiting list at a present. From what I understand, Renault Zoe is literally Zoe or Zoe, I wonder, is literally one of the most popular cars in Europe, and it's got a really decent range. And I actually saw a couple of them here. We have a Nissan Research Center that I drive by once in a while because they have some of their camouflage prototype cars there once in a while, and I see a few of those Renault Zoes in there that I guess they're taking apart to see what's inside or whatever. Let's see. UV Patty says, Alex, drive to Spanish medieval city and you'll know why it's a bad idea, or go in a parking garage that is built for Fiat 500 size cars. Listen, I understand there's something to driving a tiny little car, and especially in big cities or the cities where the parking lot's small. I understand. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I like big cars, and I live in the area where it's not a problem to park at the big car, to drive the big car. But I understand it's not for all of the cities and all of the areas, and the smaller cars is a priority for a lot of people. Like here in San Francisco, a lot of people don't want to buy a Model S because it's too big, even too big for their garage. Like people have garages, and even though Model S is not the biggest car, it still can fit in their garage. So Tony says Renault Zoe on Portugal is too expensive, 40,000 euros. Wow, that is kind of pricey, but it is a good car from what I understand. Monkey Ride says now the Model 3 can go 330 miles with a 75 kilowatt hour, and the 100D Model S can do close to that. Do you think Tesla will upgrade the S and the X? Well, Model 3 actually can go more than that. From what I understand, it's like 344 miles, and that's per EPA. Looks like Tesla was under promising, I guess, with that one, and I understand why, and I think that Analyst was kind of hammering that point. But yeah, absolutely, Model S and Model X range needs to go up. I mean, how much further do we need to go? Do we need to have a 500 range on a car, 1,000 range on a car? I don't think so. I think maybe 500 will do the trick. I think that's like the most people will ever need to drive in one day before they need to charge. But yeah, I believe that they need to do it. But on another hand, don't forget, okay, this is the point I was trying to bring home, maybe like when I was talking a little bit earlier. BMW 3 Series, Mercedes C-Class, the lower, what's called entry-level luxury cars, when you compare them to top-of-the-line luxury cars of the same maker, like BMW 7 Series or Mercedes-Benz S-Class, they go further on per 1 mile of gas, right? And that doesn't seem to be a problem. They're a smaller car. They will go further on the same amount of fuel. And I believe, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that like 3 Series can go further on the tank than a S-Class, 7 Series can. And nobody has a problem with it. I think mainly because those cars already go, 300, 400, 500 miles on the tank, that it doesn't really matter if one car goes just a little bit further than the other. It's just not a problem. And this is why if I think we make one more step, maybe add another 100 to 150 miles on top of what Model S and Model X have right now, I think we're going to be in a promised land. I think the range will no longer be a discussion. It really doesn't matter how further than 500 miles on one charge a car needs to go. I think the focus will shift to how fast you can charge for the car that goes 500 miles on single charge. I think that would be the next generation of the problem, if you will. FC Rises, I hope I pronounced your username correctly. It says in all caps. So are you yelling? Elon Musk bring Tesla to South Africa because he's from over there. Okay, first don't yell at me, please. Really, my old ears are bleeding already. But South Africa is probably not on top of a priority list for Tesla. I'm also wondering if you guys have the infrastructure and electric grid that can sustain this. And also, I don't know what the purchase power, I guess what it's called, there in South Africa. So like, for example, if they can't sell, $100,000 cars to more than 5 people, I can see how it's not worth even putting one service center in there, right? So think about that. But yes, I hope Tesla is everywhere one day, but it's just you gotta be patient. Or come here to America, man. We sell them here all the time. My girlfriend says the phrase is beating a dead horse, not beating a horse to death. If someone's gonna correct my grammar, it's gonna be my girlfriend. Yes, I know, but yeah. English as a second language, but you guys know what I mean, right? So, all right, okay. She's in the next room too, by the way. Oh, never a break. All right, Dirk says, I'm driving a Toyota hybrid. It's amazing to drive electric. It made me want an EV even more. I live in an apartment and cannot charge. As soon as I have my own home, I'll drive a Model 3. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. First of all, hybrids is sort of like a gateway drug, right, if you will. You start understanding the technology, you start appreciating technology, you see how quiet, you hear how quiet it is. But yeah, a lot of people are, I have the entire video about it, guys, if you want to check it out. But yeah, I have an experience with this myself because, I was trying to move from where I live because I don't like living in houses. I own a house, but I don't live in that house because I like to live in a condo. And I was trying to move because we didn't really like the rent going up so fast here. So we decided to move, and I looked high and low in Silicon Valley, and I couldn't find any other apartment complex that would have a dedicated electric car charger. And we have so many new apartment complexes, guys, it's ridiculous. Anytime there's a piece of dirt that's for sale, it will be bought, and an apartment complex is going to be built on top of that. And yet all of this apartment complex that are just like top of the line, they have all this smart appliances and smart lights and everything. None of them have electric car chargers, and it's here in Silicon Valley. What about the rest of the world? I don't see how this is going to be happening in the rest of the world. So yeah, if you live in an apartment complex or condo, or like, here we have HOAs, right? Homeowners associations. And even if you own a condo, you can't put an electric car charger without their approval. And a lot of them don't want the responsibility or the liability, so they don't do it. So you can literally own your own home and a garage and not be able to install it. But the workaround, of course, is that if you have a washer and dryer in your garage, that means you have a 240 outlet. You can put a splitter on it. Make sure it's like fire hazard compliant, and you can charge your car from there because each Tesla and most electric cars come with their own adapters, and you can charge it for 240 outlet. But yeah, Dirk, I totally understand. And I'm glad you are planning on moving just so you can have a Model 3, which I think is going to be totally worth it. George says, I agree, but if you have a HOA problem, you have no choice. You have to charge at superchargers. Absolutely, except if you have a garage with a washer and dryer and therefore 240 outlet. Though you can still petition HOA. It's just they won't guarantee you that. Like, you can't buy a condo where they will guarantee you that you will be able to install a charger. But you can petition your HOA and even sue them, actually, if you want to. And in some cases, it does happen. Nigel says, self-driving, muddying water for EV manufacturing. Nah, I don't know what you mean by that. If you can clarify that. I think those technologies go hand in hand. And I think self-driving technologies are enhancing the excitement of electric cars, actually. And now with this Waymo vans right here, right? It's now it's exciting to be in a taxi that is driving itself, I think. All right. Patty says, I definitely don't want gas again after someone almost blinded me from gas fumes. Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time driving a gas car also when I have to, rent one or whatever. And I don't see myself going back to gas cars right now. I will stick to electric cars, and I'll probably stick to Tesla. I mean, it will definitely will take a lot for me to leave the brand of Tesla, but it's possible, and that we'll see what happens in the next couple of years. I wonder if Lucid Air will at some point make it to the market. That would be a consideration as well. Let's see. I think Nigel is talking about the Renault Zoe. It says tiny car. Us just drive trucks, and it's spreading to UK with monster SUVs. Yeah, it's right. Here in America, we love huge cars no matter how much gas they're eating up. But in Europe and in bigger cities here like San Francisco, small cars are definitely the way to go. Let's see. Christian says, what do you think about the new Honda? Are you talking about the concept? I'm sorry I don't have a picture here, but are you talking about that little frog-looking concept, the urban EV? I think it's cool. I think it's I compare it to an iMac. I'm sorry, I don't have a picture, so I'm going to go to my regular graphics here. I think it's cute, and just like an iMac. Remember when iMac came out with all of those colors? And people are like, oh, that's a cute computer and it works and it's simple. I think it's a very similar concept, so I definitely like it. It looks like a pretty cool car. I mean, it's a small one, and they're coming out with a coupe also. I think an electric coupe that kind of looks also like a Frog's little sister. But they're cute, right? I can see people buying it. I see this appealing to women because I think like most people who are in electric cars right now are men. 95% of people who watch my channel are men. So maybe this is a good way to appeal maybe to female audience and sell them more on the electric car concept and appeal visually to them and just to a wider audience. So yeah, let's see what happens. I think they're going to be producing it, they're saying in a year, maybe 2 years. We'll see. But don't forget, right now it's like literally just a concept car. They didn't even enclose any, they didn't disclose too many specs about it. But yeah, listen, Honda needs to catch up, and I hope they do a good job with this car. Somebody gave a link to the video. Evie Patty says, I think range isn't that important when you're always able to charge. 200 miles is plenty. I absolutely agree. Let's see. Dirk says if charge speed doubles or even triples, then range isn't an issue anymore. Yes, as long as you have access to the charging network, right? But if you don't have it, then if you live in some urban area where there are no superchargers or fast chargers, then you are basically left to charge at home. And to be honest with you, I don't even like supercharging or charging somewhere else because I come to my home in the evening. Takes me 5 seconds to plug the damn thing in. I come back in the morning, it's fully charged. I unplug it another 5 seconds. So it's 10 seconds out of my life to even worry about powering my car. If I have to go somewhere specifically to charge it, that's just taking too much time out of my day, which I don't want to. I want this convenience. So I'm not worrying about it and just charging at home. Evie Patty says, Alex, yes, they seem to have a Zoe in California that has some obstacle avoidance built in. Evie Patty, are you talking about the ones that are parked at the Nissan Research Center, or are you actually saying there are some driving around? I would be interested. I've never seen one, to be honest with you, on the road. Let's see. What do you think about the new Honda? We addressed this. Okay, so Monkey Ride says it's because the 100 miles on top costs so much, and I think it's that a look at me thing. That's why Tesla debadged the Model 3. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I think if you're talking about the cost for an extra 100-mile range for the Model 3, I think it's actually not bad at all. I think it's $9,000. So if you break it down as far as how many dollars goes into each mile of range, $9,000 for 100 extra miles of range is actually a good deal, just FYI. And if you don't need it, which I think most people don't, you don't have to get it. That's why it's an option. Evie Patty says that's what girlfriends are for. He's referring to my girlfriend correcting my English as I'm talking to you guys. That I guess so. Ticoli 100 says I totally view gas-powered vehicles differently, especially when I'm behind one and the cabin fills with fumes. Yuck. Yeah, I agree. The fumes is a problem. I think that's one of the reasons we're trying to go green, right? If you've been to Los Angeles or Beijing, I haven't been to Beijing or other Chinese cities, but I've been to Los Angeles, and on a sunny day, a lot of times you can't see the downtown. It's gotten better. It's gotten better, and specifically because all of the new regulations and fumes are not as bad now. But when you can't see the freaking air, you know you have a problem. And if you look at the case studies, you'll see that all kinds of lung-related diseases are out there because of that. So I don't care if you believe in global warming or don't believe in global warming. You should believe in your own health and the health of your children, which is at stake when all of this, just like I said, disgusting goo that comes out of the ground and gets blown up in a fiery, explosions under the hood of your car, just gets released into your lungs. We should worry about it, guys. We should, and this is why we should be going into this direction. Let's see. Stephen Hill says aliens would look at even Elon Musk as the true revolution that he is. I don't really think you should be an alien. I mean, you could, but I think you can be a human being like myself who does believe that he's one of the most important people in the world, because while politicians and countries bicker and different parties, Democratic Party, Republican, they bicker and they end up just creating all this wars, figuratively and literally. They're not moving us forward very much. It's people like Elon Musk who are moving us forward, and that's why I'm so excited. I don't always agree with him, and I'm hearing that he's not maybe the nicest person in the world, but yes, I don't think you need to be an alien to know that people like him are moving the world forward, especially he doesn't have to. Before Tesla, SpaceX, and Boring Company and other companies that he owns, he made plenty of money on PayPal. He could have been enjoying his life on his own island, worry-free, but what he's doing right now basically never sleeps and tries to make our lives better, explore the space, push electric cars, green energy. Just the guy's amazing. So I'm not an alien, but I love Elon Musk. He's a leader in this world, I believe. Nigel says Ireland has 2 superchargers, one in the middle of nowhere. Well, actually, that's where they belong, because that's where you need them the most. Second on main highway between north and south. Only recently other infrastructure and some destinations chargers. Listen, it's I know it's kind of funny. It's a problem where there are not that many of them, and that's probably because there are not that many Teslas there. But it's also a problem here where there are so many Teslas. Everywhere you look, there's a Tesla, but we're having the opposite problem of also not having enough because everyone's supercharging. Everyone's supercharging. So basically, bottom line is what we're saying is that there's not enough superchargers anywhere in the world. So that's that. But yeah, I really hope they start building more, but they're spread thin, as you know. They're trying, though. They're trying. Let's see. All EVs in UK sold new with charger. Okay, yeah. So Nigel was talking about how electric cars that are being sold will be sold with their own chargers, and if you have a 240 outlet, you should be able to plug it in. And if you have a dryer, wash and dry here in the United States in your garage, you are all set. T. Coley 100 says home charging is a definite challenge whenever you don't own your own house. Public charging might just be the way to go for folks. Okay, I disagree, because I think public charging should be for long trips. And also, why would you want a public charge? Because this is an inconvenience for you. A lot of times they cost money. If you can, you should do everything possible to charge at home, because it costs less and it takes much less of your time. And but yeah, I agree. You don't have to own your home. In my previous place where I lived, I actually lived in someone else's house I was renting, and I talked them into installing a charger. Actually, let me put it this way. It is easier to talk someone who owns a house and renting it out to you into installing a charging station, because you're pretty much upgrading their house for free, right? Than to convince an apartment complex with their corporate policies or an HOA that are afraid of liabilities and responsibilities and all of that stuff. So do what I did. If you're renting a home or any type of play with a garage where they don't have an HOA, it is a pretty reasonable argument for you to make. Say, listen, man, let me spend $500, get an electrician out here and install a charging station and outlet, and I'll upgrade your home to what it really is going to need in the future anyway, which is a charging solution for an electric car. And I don't see a homeowner saying no. My landlord was like 80 years old. She was a lady from Iran, old school as it gets. And she told me, oh, electric car charger? Sure, go ahead, son, go for it. And that's what I did. And then now that I left, her house has an electric charging station. And I'm sure when she sells it, which I think she did, it was just a little bit more money that she got for it. So everybody wins. So go to your landlord if they own their house you live in. You might be surprised what you can get from them because everybody wins in that situation. Let's see. Christian says, you know the street light charge system, it can charge with 22 kilowatt hours. Sorry for my bad English. I am 16. Welcome to the chat, by the way, and thank you for participating. You know what? It's people like you, the new generation, who's going to make all the difference in the world. If the more of you we can get excited about new technology and the green technology moving forward, the better we are and the better your future is going to be. So it's not just us who are going to be working for your green future, but it's also you guys as well. So welcome to the chat. Welcome to the community. I hope your first car is an electric car. Talk to your parents. Hopefully you'll get a job and you can afford one yourself. Probably giving too much parental advice, which I have no business doing. All right. Nigel says, autonomous facility making money for Tesla when not available. I'm not really sure what that means. I don't know if you mean like a third party or like maybe mobile services. Andre Durr says, good thing in Germany is that they try to get rid of the approval of the apartment owner community to install chargers in underground car parks. You know, this is what I hope they'll do here in California. I'm actually very much surprised when I was researching this issue that they haven't done yet. We don't have a law that prohibits a landlord or HOA from a tenant installing a charging station. We have that law for satellite dish television, I believe. If you're a tenant, I believe here in California and I think in other states that your landlord cannot say no to installing the ugly satellite dish on the roof of their house. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's true. So I would love the similar law where the HOAs and landlords cannot refuse you installing a charging station as long as you use a certified electrician who will obey all regulations and pull the necessary permits, which I don't think you need, in at least here in California, and to pay for it. I think that would be a great law for them to pass. And I'm surprised they haven't, especially here in California. They're all about green energy. So fingers crossed. Nigel says, what do people put in their large cars? So many people, my two daughters both like and drive big, but nobody in the back seat. I think this is the American way, man. Just having big things, right? I know people who live in big houses, they don't need them. I know quite a few of them here. 6,000 square foot house for two people. Just this is the American way, unfortunately. And I wouldn't mind. Listen, first of all, if you can afford it, if you don't hurt anybody, gee, man, live as large as you want. Okay, I don't mind if it's your thing. My only problem is if you live that large and you're hurting everybody by, throwing fumes into my lungs and in our kids' lungs. That's where we have a problem. But unfortunately, it's going to take a long time to convince those people to get off their heroin, that is oil. Let's see. Let me scroll Let me scroll down. Jenna says, love Tesla, waiting for the Model 3. Jenna, welcome to the chat. Let me know when you reserve your car and where you live. So that probably will determine when you'll get your Model 3. And let me know which color you're getting. I'm kind of, guys, I would be interested in what color you're getting, because I have to say that I still would probably get a black one. But the silver one and the white one have been kind of growing on me. And you know what? The red one too. Here, I actually have a picture of the red one right here. This one, I took the picture of it myself. I have to admit that I photoshopped it because I took it back in the day when they still had the test equipment. So this one had some test sensors. That's why you don't see the logo, because I photoshopped that part out because it was some test equipment. I didn't really want to expose anything that Tesla might want to keep a secret at that time, but this is a red one that I really like. Nigel says, women appear, okay, am I going to get in trouble? Women appear to not see the advantage. Oh. Kill the planet, choke your children, my wife, typical. Okay, well, as long as you involve your wife here, I'm feeling a little bit better. But, I'm actually surprised that women are not as much into electric cars as men are, because I know those are cars, but those are also a benefit to our kids' future and environment. And I personally thought that women would be more accepting to those technologies, and maybe I'm wrong. I mean, well, I see a lot of women actually driving around, but I'm just looking at statistics of my channel, and I see 95, 96% of men watching my channel, and I'm thinking, oh my God, do we need to have some sort of a launch, some sort of advertising campaign to convince women that this is a good idea? As a matter of fact, there's a channel called Like Tesla, and this girl Kim literally just produced a video on how you convince your wife to buy a Tesla, which is interesting. She's actually making some good points there, but just the fact that you have to convince your wife to buy a car that's good for your kids and other, their generation, sounds kind of funny to me. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why there's such a divide still, even though the topic is about cars. But I don't know. I hope more women look into it. Let's see. Monkey Ride says, I'm first and foremost a motorcycle guy. Oh, I'm first and foremost motorcycle guy. And I said I think the Model 3 will be my very first car. But if Tesla did a motorbike, wow, game changer. Well, Monkey Ride, I believe there are quite a few electric motorcycles out there. I know it kind of takes away the thrill of scaring the crap out of everybody when you're passing them by. I understand that, but yeah, you might wanna look into it. I have a friend who has one, and he loves it, and he loves the fact that like it's quiet. So look into those. I know Tesla is not making one right now, but the other cars, other makers are, and I think they even have like a decent range. So yeah, check that out. Evie Patty says, by the way, guys, I just learned for the first time in 60 years that there will be a circuit race in Switzerland, and it'll be Formula E electric. Yeah, electric cars are pretty good for racing. You know why? Because of the torque, how fast they can accelerate. So yeah, there's more and more electric cars in Formula E, and that's why the Lamborghini just had an electric concept the other day. Never will see the light of day, but even Lamborghini is thinking about it. Let's see. Evie Patty says, Alex, I think at the research center. Okay, so we're talking about the same Renault Zoe cars that we've seen here in California, in the Bay Area. They come from Nissan Research Center here in Sunnyvale. Tony says, Alex, thanks for the great work you are doing. You are welcome. Thank you for being part of my great work, because without you guys, I got nothing. I've been doing this for 5 years, only a year for my YouTube channel, but before that, I started my Facebook community, which now in total almost 20,000 members strong. So I love it, man. Like, I love it. Like, I haven't even eaten anything. It's what? Oh my God, it's 1:20 already. Okay, well, I haven't eaten anything today, and I'm talking to you guys, and I haven't even thought about food, because this is my food. I love it. I love talking about electric cars. Okay, let's see. Nigel says, funny, just realized how many ICE cars seen broken down since weather got colder. That's another thing, man. Electric cars, not much to break, right? Not much to break, and this is another advantage that people will realize once the time goes by. Once they're gonna start seeing 2, 3, 4, 500-mile electric cars that are still on the road and still getting software updates with the latest technology, that's where the people will once again start reconsidering. And don't forget the resale value. The resale value, I can't wait for another couple of years when these cars are on the market for 60, 70% of their original value. If you see right now, Model S cars and Model X are not falling in price. I haven't seen one below 40 in a long time. And usually they're savaged, right? So you can see a 90, 100,000 mile Tesla Model S, which originally was 70, 80,000 after the rebate, and it would still be on sale for 50 grand. How amazing is that? And that car is still getting updates, right? It will get the latest software. So I think that's another big deal, is the resale value of electric cars is going to be so much better because there's less stuff to break and they can go further. Nigel says, Renault doing tests on self-driving, but not sure if Zoe will be available, but might be through Nissan dealers. Okay, yes, so I forgot the association between Renault and Nissan, and that's why I see him at the Nissan Research Center, I guess. Let me scroll. Nigel says, aliens are not real fantasy. Deal with what we know. True, I do believe that aliens do exist somewhere just because of the scientific possibilities, just mathematically, they're probably somewhere. I doubt that they're looking into Model 3 and Elon Musk. But yes, you're right. We need to deal with problems that we hear on Earth and not worry about aliens. But it was a good analogy, right? Like, what if aliens come to the planet? What they would think? Because I think when people say aliens, that's the same thing as saying what would be the sober opinion of what the hell we're doing here. Um, Patty says Green Gainers should be the name of our community. That's interesting. Gainers. I don't. Okay, interesting. I'll consider that. I've been just looking for a name for our community, and I'm kind of drawing blank. Green Army sounds a little too cheesy, but then we can be Green Soldier. Well, anyway, yeah. Let me know if you have better ideas. Evie Patty says if you don't have a garage, which is quite common in Europe, you're in trouble. Yes, I haven't been in Europe in a long time, even though I am from Russia. So I'm from Europe. I don't want to say technically from Europe. I'm from Europe. But yeah, I would be curious to see what are the other possible solutions in Europe that you have if you own your house but don't have a garage. I'm assuming you can still have a charging station outside. And yeah, and I will be interested to hearing more about it. As a matter of fact, maybe somebody who lives in Europe can do a little video report, and we can do so. I mean, I can put your video on my channel about it. So as a matter of fact, there you go, guys. Here's a challenge. If you live in Europe, tell me a little bit more about, and whip out your video camera as long as you hold your phone like this and not like this. Send me some videos, and we can make a kind of a European report about where to charge your car and what are the possibility of charging. How about that? Let's see. Amir says, I live in a building in New York City, so unfortunately I have no choice but to charge publicly. I'm going to get the longer range option Model 3 to assist with that. Well, okay, yes, this I've acknowledged that that's a problem. Though, if you have a garage, there are places that would allow, or they will install a charging station in your garage, in a garage for your condo community. So you might want to look into that. Most of them won't, but still, take a chance, check it out. Nigel says street lights in UK tend to be on outside of paths, so light fittings with the chargers are a problem to install and use. Yeah, I've seen those where they put chargers on the lighting pole just simply because the electricity is already going there. But you're right, a lot of times they're not in the places where you can park conveniently. But it is a solution in some cases, So yeah, Ticoli 100 says when Tesla has successfully integrated the automated manufacturing of car builds, how long do you think it will be before other industries follow? How long? As usual, 3 to 5 years. And I have to say that the automakers are regular, the mainstream automakers obviously have an advantage because they've been doing this for a long time. They can retrofit their factories. I believe it was BMW who just invested like $10 billion in retrofitting their factory or building a factory here in the United States specifically to build electric cars. But still, man, it's not that easy. And I think Tesla got a lot of good American talent, especially here in Silicon Valley. So you can just build it without talent, without like talented employees who know what they're doing. But I'll go with 3 to 5 years. So that would be my guess, but it's just a guess. Riz Breezy says, same here. I'm from New York City and I live in a building and we need to charge publicly for Model 3. Man, I'm worried about this, guys. I really am worried about this whole charging thing in Model 3s. Hopefully they'll roll out infrastructure as fast as they're rolling out the Model 3. So maybe this delay is kind of a blessing in disguise that they are not overflooding them yet. Some people are replying to what color they like the Model 3. Riz Breezy says blue. Tesla P85D says white. Henry says red. I agree with Henry. That may be my choice as well. Dirk says black is fine. Why? Oh, okay, that's right. I forgot. If you're getting it in black, you don't have to pay an extra $1,000 for an extra color. Okay. Well, I guess I like black already. So, but yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that. Christian says, good night. Thank you for support. Thank you for support. Save the world. Christian, good night. Thank you so much for joining me. Amir says, I've had silver cars all my life. I'm definitely going back with silver. I had a picture of the silver Model 3 and it looks great. I'll post it maybe next time we're talking about it. Eva Petty says, I think women don't care that much for cars in general. I agree, but I think they do care about the well-being of their children and the environment a little bit more than men maybe. So that's why I'm a little surprised they're not as much into this whole green technology electric cars thing as I thought they would. Tony says he wants a silver Model 3. Satvir says, Alex, I live in LA. and I live in an apartment complex. That is the only thing that is holding me back from buying Tesla Model 3. Looking forward to Tesla's semi-truck unveiling event. Are you going? Because I'm definitely going, man. Let's hang out. I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's this week, man. I'm excited, and I'm more excited about what else are they going to unveil, right? But you're right. I'm sorry, apartment complexes are tough, but hopefully you can buy a house or move to one where you can rent and get your own charger. Nigel says, building large cars, large houses, energy consumption to build, to run. Okay, I don't want to go there, guys. We're talking about like a whole different conversation. Johnny Tankstead says, silver looks very futuristic. I absolutely agree. It looks really, really cool. Nigel says, love the red and silver Model 3. Absolutely, those also my favorite colors, but I still might go. I still might go with black. That's with my original choice. I'll tint the wheels just like I have on my Model S, both of them. Put the red caliper covers from EVNX. Oh, by the way, EVNX. By the way, thank you once again, EVNX, for sponsoring this video. I don't think I've mentioned this. They're the channel sponsors. So, all right, guys. Let's see. My girlfriend says cold weather affects batteries. No. Yes, honey, it does. You probably don't know because we live here in California, but it does affect the battery. Tesla does have a battery warming system, the system that will warm up your battery. But especially if you just get in your car, your battery won't be able to dispense as much power. So as you'll see a little dotted line in the Tesla, and I think other cars as well, where you won't be able to accelerate as fast. And obviously charging a cold battery is a little bit tougher. But of course they keep the charge longer. That's why we keep our batteries in the fridge. Let's see. Monkey Ride says, please do the stream at this time at least once a week. Most of the time it's 3 a.m. But I've been experimenting, guys. And if you're in a chat or if you're watching in the replay, please let me know in a Pacific time. What would be the best time for you guys on the weekends and weekdays? I'm relatively flexible. Unfortunately, I have hockey games in the evening, so I can't always keep the same schedule. But doing this at lunch at noon here in Pacific time on Sundays, that's for sure. I will stick to that. Last night's feed at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday, I felt was also a success. I had the ridiculous amount of people watching, but I think maybe we'll keep that. Let me know if that's cool with you guys, but let me know what would be the best time, Pacific time here in California, on weekdays, so that way I can maybe nail down a certain times on certain days so we can all meet same time, same place. All right. And yes, I apologize that it's been kind of up and down. This is only second week I'm doing this. So I still want to pick the right times for you guys. Don't forget, I have a full-time job too, so I can't always just go live in my studio here. But maybe at lunchtime I can drive home every day and we can hang out. Let's see. Christopher Driver says silver lowers incentives. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Nigel says Americans must realize. Okay, you're already in trouble, man. Americans are not going to realize much. Okay, I think if we've proven anything, we're going to realize things very easily. U.S. and Europe are laughed at for their cars. Oh, U.S. in Europe are laughed at their cars. We kind of laugh at our own cars as well. Though I have to say, after this whole market crash, American cars have turned around and they came up with some good technology. I mean, Chevy Bolt is one of them, but just in generally, I feel like Americans are making better cars now. Yeah, Ford is not helping. I agree with you. Build quality of most American cars are a joke. I agree, but at the same time, German cars also have their own problems. But yes, I agree. We need to get our crap together, and I think we have been. And I'm so glad that Tesla is an American car, and hopefully they can lead the way in reliability as well. So yeah, but whenever you start a sentence with Americans must realize, we do this, blah, 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 right? I mean, if anything I've learned by living here in 25 years, yeah, it's a tough sell. Nigel says that Renault Zoe has passive cooling system and it's okay for a lot of places. I did not know that. That's good to know. I should research that a little bit. Patty says, I want someone to invite me to the event. Patty, I actually had an extra pass, which I had to give away because my girlfriend couldn't make it. Unfortunately, I don't have it anymore. Nigel says, this time Sunday is good. I appreciate it. But what about weekdays? Because I do it every day, really. This is kind of a hangout chat, recap of all the news, but I try to cover, what, 2 or 3 different stories that come out every day. And I try to go live for like 10 minutes. So let me know when those times are good for you guys. Satvir says, Alex, can anyone go to the semi-truck unveiling event? No. The reason I'm going is because I've referred 5 or more cars to Tesla using my referral code. And that was the prize for us, though we still have to pay for our airfare, hotel, meals, and so forth. So that's why I thought, unless, like, if I wasn't a YouTuber who wanted to do a live stream from there, I would really hate that prize because it does nothing to me. But yeah, also media gets to go and employees, I believe. I thought it was open for people who are invited by Tesla. Yes, you have to be invited by Tesla. Okay, someone's correcting my girlfriend on spelling. I love it. Cog says, effects with an A, not effects with an E. Since you were correcting Alex before, yes, you're getting me in trouble when this live stream is over, dude. All right, I like the shirt. Thanks, man. I love this shirt too. Actually, I have like 10 different color variations of this shirt. I get a lot of compliments for it. I know it's a little retro, but I like the color and it goes well with my background right here. But I buy it on Amazon, man. On Amazon, you can buy them for like 20, 30 bucks, and there's different color combinations, and most of them are really good. So thank you for noticing. Nigel says, yes, Renault Zoe does have completely passive cooling system. Fans come out at times. Let's see. Touche says, my girlfriend back. All right. I hope she's not poisoning my lunch as we're doing this. Okay, Andreder says, you have watchers from all over the world. You will never find a time which is good for everyone. So just change it over the week so some days are good for everyone. I'm going to try to do that. It's a good idea. So I'm just trying to figure out what the time on what day I'm going to go live. But yeah, and I always post the time of the next live feed a day before, so you guys can always do that. And there's a button that says set reminder, and that way you can remind yourself right before I go live. And of course, if you're subscribing to my channel, which I hope you are, click on the bell notification icon so you also get a notification when I go live. And if it's not a good time for you, just swipe left and you're done. Nigel asks, do Americans have MOT checks on older cars? I don't know what MOT means. Please clarify and I'll let you know. Patty says, where's Tech for Bold from? I don't know what that means either. What the hell's going on with my brain? Okay, somebody answered. Said Patty from LG. Oh, I see it. Oh, got it. Okay. A little slow. Evie Patty, it's pronounced Zoe in proper French. Okay, thank you. I had no idea how to pronounce it. Renault Zoe. 2 names that do not spell the way they're actually pronounced. Great. E isn't silent like the Porsche. You know, some people say Porsche. So let's say Dirk says, living near Amsterdam in Pacific time, 1 p.m. would be great. Then I can follow you at 10 p.m. local time at home. Point taken. I just joined on chat where I can. Patty, yes, you've been awesome. You've been part of my community. You've been the green soldier. So I appreciate that. Always enjoy your comments here in the chat and in the replay in the comment section. Let's see. Amir says 6 p.m. Pacific time works for me on the East Coast. That's why I chose 7. So it's kind of in between because 6 is a little too early for some of us here. Also, I have to get home from my job and do some research and reading and do some graphics. So give me like an hour. Safety checks, MOT. I mean, yeah, there are safety checks. Every company does safety checks. As a matter of fact, they have a separate track and separate facilities where they do like all kinds of safety checks. So I don't know if I misunderstood your question, but I think the answer is yes, of course. Yes, it says EV Patty. In Porsche, it isn't silent either. Well, with names, it's always tough. So now I've learned something new. Renault Zoe is pronounced Zoe. Ticoli 100, the times you broadcasted works for me as I'm in a central time zone. All right, guys, you're confusing me even more with this, but I'm going to try to keep like maybe 7 p.m. Pacific every other day, and other days maybe I'll go at like 12 noon at lunch. I will try that this week. How about that? We'll do like 7 p.m. noon, 7 p.m. noon. And then on the weekend, I keep it 6 p.m. on Saturday like I did yesterday, and noon for Sunday. Noon Sunday works for me perfectly, actually, and it looks like we've been having also a large number of viewers and comments, and I really appreciate it, guys. We've been on for an hour and a half now, and I was really going to go for like 10-15 minutes. Times you've broadcasted works for me. Okay, I already read that one. So yeah, guys, I mean, this has been a very exciting week, if you ask me. I really enjoyed it. I hope the next week is going to be just as full, and it is going to be because of the semi-truck unveiling event. I think that's what's going to dominate the news, and whatever it is that they're going to come up with, they're going to take us. They're going to tell us about that something extra that's coming up. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, guys, I got to end this broadcast. As much as I love hanging out with you guys, I am so hungry. I got to get something in my belly. Please join me tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific. That's where I'm going to keep my time, unless okay, I got it. Before I promise, I have a soccer game, so I don't know what time it's going to be, but I'm going to post it within the next half an hour when I go live tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching me, guys. I appreciate it. I will see you next time, and remember to stay charged.